Many thanks for being a part of your early morning status. My name is Janice Coblum. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Janice.
Yeah, I think we should even start by congratulating uproar to the fact that the Headies this time around was taken to just trying to give the Headies, which is celebrating 15 years in existence, some kind of glittering our Nigerian artists, Afrobeat artists, and the international stars.
Our artists have collaborated with to Nigeria to celebrate the Headies.
And you know, they've also been celebrating for those that have been able to come down covers Africa now, and so they've been that, you know, collaborations where people come also say that little bit too expensive, you know, trying to get every Babajide Sanwo-Olu went for the awards as well. But it's a beautiful thing to see, you know, Nigerian musicians shine. The likes of course, Burna Boy too was on that list. A whole lot of them. I think it's
King won the best recording of the year, several awards. Best male artist won a couple of people, and it's a good celebration. It's good to celebrate the things that the guys in it's been like back to back representing in the past few months, and to Nigeria and Africa for making great music. I mean, our music has become something that you talk about looking for party jams or whatever. People just want to dance.
It's all Nigerian, and I forgot to even mention my G, Davido.
Sorry.
He claims there's no other person that can actually take this award except for the likes of Davido.
And then he has actually comes to our men of the music industry and our women. We will find out from the organizers and the fan base that do the voting.
Morning. We are actually going to start our trendy gist from, we are going all the way to Kenya. August 9th, okay, thank you. Was actually when the Kenyans tripped to. It shows that Uhuru Kenyatta was actually, you know, on the side of Prime Minister William Ruto. And of course, we saw William clinch that particular ticket. The result was also contested in court in the Supreme Court of Kenya. Camp of Raila Odinga, you know, contesting that rest. All those uncertainties have finally been passed. The winner. We'll take a sound bite from.
And we make the following orders. 1, consolidated with the presidential election petition numbers are hereby dismissed. As a consequence,
when she actually said that there were no, she upheld the election results that brought
has been declared valid by the Supreme Court. With that, Raila re-evaluated and a lot of things were looked into with where it has landed. It's good that you know, we have ground that is worthy of the petition, then it's worth it, so that a worthy win for the seat of the presidency in Kenya when he was first announced. And I think at this point, Raila Odinga can really rest if he's still in. Their constitution has that.
Yes, or maybe in terms of he's been trying this for over 5 times now and not being able to get here. And then we'll just take let's just take tweets of these reactions and see what people are had. We respect the opinion of the court, although we vehemently disagree with their decision today. Of course, still talking about the fact that, okay, he agrees with what the court is saying, but he disagrees, you know, with whatever results that the IB.
We never had. We will never forget Baba, but history won't be kind to those who always surround Baba during general elections to win own elections or for monetary gain without adding any value on presidential votes. I mean, that's the kind of thing we say that will happen to some people in Nigeria this year.
Not even happen to some people, but these are the...
William Ruto, as country's 5th president, we are satisfied that Electoral Commission carried out verification, tallying and declaration of results in accordance with Constitution, judges say in response to Raila Odinga's petition. Yes.
Says President Uhuru Kenyatta played Baba Raila Odinga. Uhuru had a secret deal with William Ruto. By associating himself with Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila carried the burden of the Jubilee administration. Raila carried the burden of the incumbency, while Ruto distanced himself as the Messiah. This is like, you know, a slight on or rather an indictment. There was some kind of rift between Uhuru Kenyatta and his vice, who is Ruto Williams. But at some points, we all heard that, you know, Uhuru Kenyatta was actually on the side of Odinga. So what suddenly happened? Was it like a decoy or something?
It's possible he gave his full support, but then the president supporting you is one thing. The masses standing behind that support is entirely another thing.
Yeah.
So it might not even be a case of Uhuru Kenyatta having boy. It ought to be the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. At the end of the day, in true democracy, the people always hold, the most power. This particular tweet says, once we are all dead and buried, future generations will read about this man, Raila Odinga, and the way he has fought for this country with a lot of gratitude. History will vindicate us. Baba never gives up, and so should we. Raila Odinga fought for this country, but it never rewarded him. That problem that I hate, that problem where you see that state. Let's talk about patriotism. If you have the opportunity and the wherewithal to invest in your nation, do so without expecting the seat, right? As a reward. Strategy team around Raila Odinga have suddenly abandoned their self-appointed missions and are already pledging allegiance to President William Ruto. Don't joke with the stomach. Poverty is the enemy. Serious political conversations.
Yeah, serious political conversations.
Serious, as in from every end. Is
much into the country called Kenya. And I think that, again, if you have given so much to the kinds of people that we need at the helms of affairs. So we are saying that if these people things. So I just think that that is what some quarters, of course, invest so much in this country, show this level of patriotism. So why Kenyans? So
at the end of the day, all Kenyans don't agree. But I feel like philanthropy lead a nation. Some people are effective when they effective as that, because there is a problem with investments in Kenya. It can turn either ways. It can be that particular person was saying Raila Odinga should power the people of the nation.
Of course, that's where I wanted to even come to that. And then again, the last tweets that we had, poverty, stomach at that time, and after that, oh my God, they're looking for the next. They were talking about decamping today, so they will decamp and go over to the
administration as it comes on
and
board.
of course, if William Ruto finishes, they move over.
Allegiances in politics. Whoever wins is the person,
Let's just take William Ruto's speech, and then we wrap up on this particular conversation.
He has done a good job. Nobody should peddle any force the president of Kenya. We will give him the respect he deserves of our nation. And every other leader that deserves to grow a nation. We want to build a society. Leave it there for now. The rest of the things we are going to say, I will take Kiswahili. Nitajibu maswali kwa Kiswahili. Kwamba kwa niaba ya team ya Kenya kuna Gachagua ni ushindi wa mamilioni.
Long. And he's not even despiting, to give him that respect as an elder statesman in the vanquish. But it depends on how the winner is able to carry every person, the other opponent, to build the country.
And announce that everyone who's ran the race will their collective and by at the news desk. So let's join Mary Joseph and see what's happening around.
We begin with Minister of Interior on July 5th. Despite having made elaborate preparations, 5 armed security agents with the sole responsibility of averting the electricity employees has again asked the federal government to reverse the privatization. In another development, Director General of the National Emergency 8 months. Ahmed stated this in Abuja while on security. Nigerian Army has reiterated its committee for training, reiterated this at the opening of the 2022 foreign scene where President Gabriel Boric has vowed to press ahead to his leftist reform agenda. 36-year-old content against deep-rooted social inequality in the country today in the second of a 2-match tour of the United States in the two teams' first encounter at the Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Maritime, where we have Janice and Oyai on standby. Have a wonderful morning.
This was the Lagos Nigeria today as we want to recover for the lapses.
Of global businesses, economic activities, a new way, and billionaires. From the .com era, join us from 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Nigerian police force, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our police force. We have the Nigerian police.
Sorry. Country Nigeria, legally speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5.
Beautiful hills of Ibiakaran, beaming live with all of the Joseph. Tell us the things that are happening around the world. At this point, we saw another building collapse in the Lekki area in the Ministry of Environment, and I don't even want to begin to count.
Yeah, definitely, and put it now, a very enterprising hub, okay, of Nigeria. Are we doing right? And what are we doing wrong about these kinds of things? Because we're counting 40, and it's only on very rare cases. We've not even come off the one that happened at the studio to talk about it. And of course, they gave their 2 cents on the responsibility of doing what they know how to do best. And I think that this is just one of the things up. And it's surprising also, I think, that at the edge or the verge of collapsing. Let me get that story properly now. The Lagos commissioner who resigned, that he decided to resign, even though we have not known decided to resign, that's talking about, was that his name now, Idris Salako. But I think that's also reading, at some point these buildings were sealed. But just even chased away authorities that came to government officials that are giving them the legs to go ahead to do what is not even
talked about. There's some people that are trying to get the job well. One of them talked about the fact that even in Akwa Ibom, they do not have kids. So you can imagine someone who's building a 7-story building, using the rods for a duplex to build a 7-story building. What if the materials are not good? The materials, and we keep on having these kinds of issues, and they give their professional advice. If they have the Society of Engineers or the boy or something, oh no, continue building. And now the building is collapsed. Big people trying to press buttons. Oh, there's been too many failures and are tied. An honorable person will say, let me resign before you further to the government on certain buildings that should not be continued. Then you may see where you...
Because in more developed climes, okay, these are the kinds of things that happen, and then
take my word for it.
And see if, if it's better off happening. But again, he has also made us to know that this failed. So who gave the developer, then all of a sudden a 15-story building decided sealed, do not continue building. And I'm sure that it should be unsealed and building should continue. So these are some of the things
engineers had mentioned, that oftentimes most of these to do the job. From the point of the architect who is drawing, who's supposed to get the design from the architect, they run from there. People get trained professionally for a reason. You're taking on as people and across the country. Because I hope that the do not do this kind. Yes, cut shorts,
cut corners, and that's why you find out that most times the roads and then you know serious issues. They're bringing substandard, you know, tools and equipment. We have customs at the borders. We have the standard of.
And then when people want to develop these kinds of buildings, like, you know, we should be, but then someone else comes out and offers you half the price. Faint knowledge about how building is done from, you know, from the layman. But then you see sometimes generating plants are put, raised from ground level to the top, out and sitting. You know, some of those things. So there's a lot
specifications when it comes to even okay, I think the number of blocks should be between 30 blocks from one bag of cement. So there's always that tendency of, at the end of the day, even the blocks cannot hold that density in a particular building.
Or really blocks that are meant to be artisans, the engineers, everybody involved in the process. If the professional body in charge of these things in your field, because at the end of the day, you're looking at the fact that to rent this property to use and do business, where our guest was saying, oh, don't even talk about the government, but all the professional touch to these things. You should pay attention when it doesn't make sense. So they're just there as figureheads and taking supports very seriously.
It's very pathetic.
Yes.
But again, when you look at a clear situation of penny wise, pound foolish, because what I'm saying that was on ground to give you a building. At the end of the day, but at the long run, you would discover that you're spending less than you would have spent when you get. It takes more money to come and say, oh, this place has managed the excesses.
Or you eventually lose
or
out
the
time.
You employ the services of professionals from actually or in the states, wherever it is that you stay. And then you bring all of this together. You begin to wonder, oh yeah, that's another even thing. You begin to hear in Ibiakuran. You will not tell me that that church was built today. It wasn't built.
Standing up to 100 years.
Of course, yes, we have such buildings.
Yes.
And that's because of, they were all on board. They did this thing. There was no substandard to us here, has had some kinds of repairs. No, but it's still standing strong. So that we spare the lives of people. It's really becoming too much.
We cannot. The clients are the main problem also. A person who wants to build a tower who will not first of all sit down and skyscraper that should be standing in our cities. Please follow it and not just say should do better. Our clients, people who are developing properly.
I think at this point we'll just take a breather, a very short breather, and when we come back, of course, we'll be looking at so much the camp and democratic process as a country, and how is it even affecting the 2023 general elections?
Stock market, forex market, cryptocurrencies, the fundamental news drives the market. This is Business 360 Spectrum Television. Business 360, your prism to world businesses.
Stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
Be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find
with some of the killings he did,
he never did.
He linked you with the attempted.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. This case.
A program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this Legally Speaking.
Say it is corner now. The cross, back post.
knowledge of global businesses, economic activities, a new wave of the stock market, Forex.com era to the oil booms, the fundamental new 30 a.m. to 12 p.m. weekdays.
Our governors have to share
Nigeria, legally speaking. Join us every Friday from 5.
We're still trying to fix him up, and of course we'll have that conversation. But again, let's look at the outbreak in one of the TCM plants in Adiabo, Cross River State. A surge, that happened in that particular, destroy lots of properties. That is affecting us as a country, and how we can bet the after effects, which sometimes is even too. In March, the people of Cross River State also suffered a lot. Udupanyi Uyo axis, where the major source of power, so that was actually fixed. But seeing this happen again, because I know that in the news yesterday it was carried that TCN has come out to make some really pathetic situation, but we just hope that all to see that they can actually restore power and up again the megawatts that is supposed to be supplied throughout the country.
Yes, the entire 330/132/33 states, and will supply power to some neighbors there. It's and it actually started while work was in a lot of power grids fail. We had a surge of over 600 happen. And I remember we having a conversation about people who build. It has the tendency to have done away with any that the fire was contained, and the TCN was put in place as soon as possible. Calabar.
Yeah, definitely. We just hope that all is contained. Inferno. But again, looking around and seeing people, muzzling to contain the fire or anything, they're just running around there. Supposed to be cordoned. People should stay away from such areas. Again, I just sympathize with the people of Cross River State, because the 1 month talk about businesses, we also talk about livelihood, and we know that a lot of even the federal government is saying that they are going to finally
please, I would like to park and live there.
But then these are conversation or
more like businesses that depend solely on
that are businesses that depend solely on power. Let's get the monies to begin to, so you find out that all of a day, I know how much I'm spending to get fuel, I know how much or for whatever goods that I'm producing. So at the end of the day, I'm telling you, still receiving salaries of 1986. So it's really pathetic like this. From the news that we heard yesterday, we also have neighboring states
of prompt response from systems. So at this point, we'll be joined with our guest who will be having a good on the line, joining us this morning to campaigns and the general elections. Good morning, Barry.
Good to have you also. I'm so sorry about the expect all the things to happen.
Conversation this morning. Anyways, Barrister Kemini Udim is principal. Obviously, it's a term that is also political as well. Why we have a lot of politicians defecting.
Politicians are like roof area at a certain period of the year, and then they move again. When we were in secondary school, we used to say Lekki, white finger and all that. So this part of the world to the other based on the rating. That like and so on, based on what suits their interest. And also when you look at some other African countries, a few other one political party to the other. But when you look at still in Africa, you look at some countries, bring decimal for the people there. The politicians there, Mandela had been in the ANC throughout his life, actively in the politics of South Africa. So it's a kind of nomadic movement. They move from one. You see that the Democratic Party in the United States of America, they believe that therefore they cannot do that easy movement. Labour Party and the Conservative Party and so on and so forth. But the
question. Now, you have talked about these are parties that have some kinds of ideology. Somebody comes up in a different, in a particular political party.
Well, the Nigerian political parties, it's difficult to even understand the reason why for as much as 10 years. Let's even look at our democratic experiment. When Abdul Salami handed over, and in 23 years, there are so many go back there. For instance, a party to another. We had the
President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has moved like three
even
times
though he moved from the PDP,
to the
went
APC.
to the 2023 election. And so to move from one political party to another and keep moving like that, and not the interest of the community, not the instance, they find it as an excuse of the party to ensure that you're, in the next round of election. And that is for political party. But ours is a situation, local and so on. It's my thing and so on, party and so on. Now, in doing this and strengthen the political families, I give you an instance. The Bush parents, up to this day, that them, and so the culture, the political culture, the slightest provocation at political rallies, they just difficult for the culture in Nigeria, the political culture, and leverage on that for the development of the country. And to another, even at the slightest provocation, or even with that provocation.
That we have in Nigeria is, is positions in the country. And like you said, what if we adopted a democratic system, and ideologically start? Because I think, for instance, now music is supposed to run our parties in these kinds of system where we know that, okay, if you keep cross-carpeting, it nullifies we are having as a nation.
Well, the multi-party option, so if you cannot stay here, you move to this other one, move to this other one, and it's movement from one big political party. It's quite rare, though it has happened this time around. The of situation is the fact that people moves to any other political party. They have seen that he was not having the possibility of getting the ticket, and when he saw that perhaps he wasn't going to get the,
So that we continue on this conversation. We've lost the.
yes, I can actually
Okay,
hear you.
fantastic. Your audio is back now. So you
Have many political parties. It's itself in the majority of cases since 1999 till today. You see someone moving from PDP because he's been denied a ticket. Back to the fact that it is not about the number of politicians in Nigeria. It is about Nigerian the interest of community, the interest of the state, and the interest of the political party, so as to be able to actualize their own dream.
my question is going to be two in one in this country.
Well, and members of the state houses of assembly, don't know that if you defect, there are consequences. So, the PDP to the APC, they went to court, and that's having moved from one political party to another before effects, and then move from one political party to that have questions to answer if they defect. But for members of, also for the generality of the
So
people,
if you say that, and he was also taken to court on this kinds of grounds, and then went to the APC.
well, those gentlemen are consequential. No decision has been given. Has been provided as consequence for defection of members of the. If the Ayade's matter is to go up to the Supreme Court, the where in the Constitution, and this is where the Nigerian Assembly, member of the legislature, it should be expected that the same thing Constitution to be a piece of document with provisions that because what is good for the goose is also good for the gander, and so there is also you don't have consequence for legislature and have your well, let me not call them victims, but when the governors move, everybody moves with the governor, and so on. Because of who serves as governor but wants to defect, he should think well before he's because the members of the legislature will move and follow him. Policies to be made available for any member of the executive, every other person who is not holding any political office, party to another, and honestly, there is no consequence in the freedom of association. And in this case, the
stability in our political frames of cross-carpeting. What are the avenues that show emotion to curb these kinds of incessant?
The legislature to, if you've been elected on the platform of a political party, you remember that moves from the Sahara Desert to the Mike, such birds that move very easily. If you constitutional amendment is required here. This lecture that defects. And so what's good for the parents? That will be something that everybody will know, oh, I cherish them even across the country. So we must see is for us to have strong political parties by the other political party that has so much money and so on. They remain there. You shouldn't move by the slightest way, the same way it is done outside Nigeria, so as for us to be able strong enough to assure us of stability is going to extend to, and so there is need for us to have strong political from one political party to another at the slightest provocation.
Constitution as amended, where it affects politicians. Constitution as amended with regards to fundings and receiving funds from people in diaspora. I would like a lot for you to, you know, give us some exposition.
That conversation, which originated from a colleague of mine, and the chief law officer of the country, that supports the position of the federal attorney, section of the law that prohibits diaspora. There is no such section of the Electoral Act. Sub 3 of the Constitution. Anybody can Google this, still Google this, it's online. Now, when you check to a candidate from the diaspora, is that a political party underlined account outside Nigeria, like you have foreign account Nigeria, that political party should within 21 days, so that INEC will be in the know, and then disburse the money back to the political party, while the political party receiving donation, and then showing election also has not made any mention of candidate of a political party is really coming from to say that
okay,
yes,
land please. Go
what
ahead.
a political party from receiving donation from his friends. Our Electoral Act has stipulated as regards money that, so whatever you are receiving must be within that. It shouldn't or does not have the right in law to receive diaspora donation.
Okay.
Therefore, there's nothing that stops them.
Okay. Now, recently, the story of Shekaro, you know, going to 23 elections going forward. And of course, you've also shedded some light on all this gale of defections that we are having.
And it simply means that if they become governors, they don't know what those platforms stand for. They don't know what they have to offer. Ordinary citizens of the country from one political party and 23 election, it's only creating more confusion. It's possible for us to have a situation where people stick. For instance, there are some persons that have been in Nigeria to have that kind of situation where people stick to people don't move from ANC. Thabo Mbeki move from one political party to another. I don't know to stick to the ideology of political parties and stop these democratic experiment in this country.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Defections, of course, you know, when we were talking about the issue of, I think that people are just going to different camps, the stands for, so let me stand by that because it suits my own going because of some selfish, you know, one day we can stand for what we believe as a political party and in the country.
Yeah, of course. It will now behove on our members of the party. Then it should become something that is discussed. What do we relate? It's not just about bringing people, and it should be something that rightly resonates with
equivalent.
Yeah, and it should really go
calling
beyond
#1 to $1.
Yeah, it just should go beyond your political ambition, rather your personal.
I think that at that point, that's when there's that. Okay, so this is not what you're doing. This is not part of our ideology.
This is not. We have, you know, better systems in Nigeria to help us.
Plans, I think the first thing that should come to your mind is, I think I saw plums there or something.
Yeah, plums were there too.
Okay, let's take our health tips.
Trying social relationships, it helps you deal with anxiety, helps.
So when you do things, you should try to look at the other person, see the. Okay, I think I would take
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. whoever is happy will make others happy. This particular quote of the day is even giving me. So whatever is tampering with your joy as a person, tampering with your how, happy you can make others feel.
More like saying that happiness. Okay, so this is where we have to draw the curtain, but we just have to do this.
You'd have still placed the order.
Rise and shine on Spectrum Television. We cannot
you today. Thanks for joining us, and thank you to definitely see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of our programming and enjoy.